What's going on, guys? We're back. We have an extremely special guest, Mr. P Money, Mr. P Raw, Mr. Preston Stewart himself. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Vegas, always good to talk, man.
So we're gonna do what we typically do. We do a little combat breakdown, and Preston's gonna ask us some questions that he has sometimes, or maybe his audience has occasionally, and we'll answer it from our side of things because this is kind of more of the sphere of stuff that we have a little more experience in. So kind of blend the two audiences together is the idea.
We've got a clip here from Third Assault Brigade. We'll go ahead and get that pulled up. And I should mention that we're doing this as a part of a fundraiser. So Vegas is kind of leading the charge with Ziggy's Paw right now, working to pick up some optics for a new unit in Azov that's full of just high speed dudes. And he's well on his way. I think the last we checked, around $12,000 of $50,000 goal. So we'll have that campaign linked in the description, or it's Vegas's video, so I don't know. He'll tell you where it's going to be, but I think normally
You're
it'd be in the description.
you're absolutely right, and that's I almost completely didn't even mention the fundraiser. So thank you. That is absolutely one of the main things that I'm focusing on here in Ukraine. There's a new sniper team within Azov Corps, kind of top level elite unit. It's called Tuman, Special Team Tuman, which means the fog or the mist, like Stephen King's movie, and they're extremely well trained, all Azov veterans for years, and they need help right here. They need help picking up some optics, specifically aim point red dot optics. The scope of a sniper has changed so dramatically in this war that they need optics just as much as they need those thermals and those night vision scopes on their rifles too. So this is uh, this is our main focus right here. It's what makes it really easy to raise funds for a unit like this is the fact that they're extremely kinetic. Like if people are worried about where their funds are going, they don't have to worry about it with this unit because this unit is directly in the fight with the enemy. You don't get a ton of firefights anymore. It's mostly drones these days, but if you do, it's going to be teams like this.
Love it. Good dudes. All right, let's get the video up here that I have never seen before. Still haven't watched it, so let's get into it. 18 plus.
18 plus, yes.
Timeline here. Is this within the
This,
last year, couple years?
yes, this was it within the last year. Big time CQB that what we're going to see here. So staging prior to the assault.
This looks very different than a lot of the footage we see with trench lines and destroyed towns. They're on the outskirts of an objective. I mean, this is straight Western military looking stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. Super well trained. They probably did a ton of pre-mission planning.
That's pretty thick cover, right? Like nothing's perfect, but that looks like they'd be able to hide pretty well from enemy drones.
Definitely.
Hey, why daytime? This seems like the type of thing you would see Western forces conduct in the middle of the night. Um, why not do this at night?
It's a great question. I've mentioned a little bit before in one of our last videos, but in 2023 we only moved at night. It was the safest time to operate. Uh, it's hardest for the enemy to see you, but because of the sheer amount of thermal drones that are on the battlefield now, the enemy owns the night, is what we say. So we have to move in the daytime. At least in the daytime, we can see as well and try to eliminate those drones. But nighttime is a huge disadvantage.
Interesting. So that advantage shifted. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Is this like this is like some kind of industrial facility, right? This is like a factory or
Yeah, I believe it is. It's like a warehouse factory type deal.
and this type of unit, this type of mission, this is like a deliberate planned clearance. They did not
Yes,
just this is not like a random patrol and they happened into this.
right. Yeah, they've probably been observing the enemy in and out of this location for weeks or days, and sent in these guys to handle the threat.
Why though? Why are they sending in dismounts? Why are they sending in infantry? I get the feeling that there's so many things that can be handled with a medium range strike drone.
Yeah, you're right, but in order to take the ground back and be able to infill some your traditional infantry units to take the positions, it takes a high skilled team like this to kind of smoke out the enemy. It starts. So they were made. They weren't planning on going loud yet and exposing their positions, but the drones had seen them prior.
A random side note, it's like the least important thing here, but I'm constantly impressed with the quality of the build in Ukraine. Like these buildings are taking a beating, dude, and they're still there.
I know it's pretty incredible. We've had we've had more than one building come down on some of our guys before, including one of our buddies, call sign Stretch, was buried in a under a house for a while.
Jesus. So a pack that size, kind of what we'd refer to as an assault pack in the U.S., is that what's he taking on an operation like this, just roughly?
I would love to say it's food and water, but it's not. You can only bring a little bit of food and water. You've got a ton of grenades in there, battery packs for your electronics, ammunition.
Anti-tank landmines, apparently.
Yes.
Are these small group like this is looks like two guys? Is that pretty normal for some of these? Or there you go, maybe three or four when you include outside.
It
I'm trying
is.
to figure out like, okay, yeah, that's a normal to do a clearance like this.
Yeah, it is. Duo pairs are the way of modern infantry tactics in Ukraine. Everything
It
happens
might be
in
a silly
pairs.
question, but why not a fire team of four?
It's from at least from my experience, it's easier to learn your one battle buddy a lot better than it is to learn how a bunch of guys operate. And there's so many times you have to separate into smaller units because of the drone threat. So rather than you, it's just typically more effective if you just have one guy you're really good with, you stick with him the whole time.
Really is a battle buddy then if you're always clearing with the same guy.
Yes. And you're shooting so close to your buddy and you're throwing grenades off your buddy's shoulder like you are truly battle buddies.
Yeah. God, those doors look bulletproof, man. Jesus. It's a bank vault. You can't be quiet moving through that at some point, right? Like, yeah, it's just in your experience, what's been more challenging, the urban combat or the trench warfare?
It, I think about that a lot actually because in my first deployment, it was almost all trenches, all tree lines. The second deployment was a lot more villages, stuff like this. I think I prefer the more urban type terrain because you have more cover from drones. But
That's a
CQB
good point.
content, or just close quarters combat in general is so incredibly dangerous. It it almost mitigates the fact that you're safer from drones. They both suck so bad.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Is like it's the less of two awfuls. Neither one of those is like ideal. It's some of the hardest areas to fight through in the planet.
Yeah. So something I see a lot is this idea that CQB is so cool, and it's like a badass thing to do. But I tell everybody CQB is the last thing you ever want to do. Ideally, you want to blow that thing up, level it to the ground before you have to go in there.
There was an interesting video that Vet TV had put together recently where they were showing kind of new drone tactics, and they were pushing guys in to try to clear a building. And all I could think was, when we see these videos, it's not always the clearance. Sometimes it's just a giant landmine in through the window.
Yep,
It's like, that's different.
exactly. I I'm a I'm a big advocate for leveling the building before going in, if you can.
And this is an area, I mean, it looks like you're not running into civilians out here, just based off of what we're seeing. So probably pretty free and loose with fire control.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of those spots where if you see someone else, it's probably a bad guy.
That's what they're searching a guy right now, right? Like they just killed a
Yeah,
Russian, taking stuff off of him. Was that
yeah. They,
okay?
look for anything of importance. Sometimes they also carry GoPros that our guys can take and look through, see how many guys are in their unit, stuff like that.
Yeah, that does seem like a randomly big security risk. I mean, this one right here that the guy is wearing, if it was lost, there's certainly something in there that could be useful.
Absolutely. I don't think that's considered very often, but I know for a fact Ukrainian units use a lot of Russian GoPros for intel.
Or a phone, right? Grab the cell phone and see where he was snapping pictures, and yeah.
Yep.
Is the timing correct here, where they kind of moved back into this staging area?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
From my understanding, the drone threat became pretty severe, and so they came back into this larger warehouse area.
It's wild. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen a CQB video like that. But yeah, that's absolutely wild, man. The just in the previous video we were walking through, seeing the close range where you can't hardly see 5 meters in front of you because of the vegetation. I don't know, man, if that's better or worse than you don't know what's around the corner right in front of you. That's I think in general, war sucks. That is terrifying across the board.
Absolutely. It's awful. I think CQB, there's so many things that can go wrong at all times in any combat environment, but I just feel like it's enhanced when you get really really close quarters with the enemy. And something that the Russians have gotten very good at since 2022 is these homemade booby traps, and they will put little explosives or little bombs in all kinds of stuff that, like in magazines, in radios. So when you're clearing a when you're going through clearing CQB area or something like that, not only are you looking for booby traps, tripwires, and stuff like that, but then when you're looting and you're reorging, you're taking the enemy's gear and kit. There's tons of possible threats in that situation as well.
Just a little pop. Doesn't have to be anything massive, but a little pop under the magazine or something, and
Yep.
finger goes, hand goes.
Yep. Finger, hand, and then depending on where you're at, it could take days to get to an evacuation, and people die from little wounds like that sometimes.
Believe it. Are there, when you have, so those guys knew they were going into those buildings, is there like a set train up for that versus trenches? Like, would it be a different team maybe conducting those types of operations, or are you just kind of dialed in on that exact mission set?
That's a great question, and this was new to me actually when before I joined Azov. I kind of figured if you're good at CQB in a trench, you'd be good at CQB in a building or an urban environment, which to some extent that's probably true, but we definitely had, for example, we had a couple different assault teams in Azov, and I was on a team that did more trench work, bunker work, and we had a specific team of guys, the other team, that would like go into villages. So they would their gear would be a little bit different, their armor would be a little bit different. The kind of more geared towards that type of a fight than the trench fight. Yeah.
Can you give an example of what the gear difference might be?
Yeah. Excuse me. So at least from my experience, when you're indoors and you're unloading magazines around a corner, something like that, there's so much shrapnel and stuff blasting around. So what I've noticed is these teams that'll go more urban fighting, more interior, they'll have a lot more of your Kevlar armor type deal. The guys like us in the more forest, Pasadka, tree line areas, again, is what I've seen is they're a little more nimble. They have maybe a little bit less. They can move around a little bit more, jump from trench to trench. But these guys that are going through buildings look like juggernauts if they have the right equipment and stuff. Um, machine gunners are always important, but especially in the urban environment, you want to have somebody that's kind of on overwatch, making sure nobody's squirting out the back or the windows. Then you've got a machine gunner that's also going inside and clearing around corners with his or big old drum mag.
Yeah. The added armor makes sense. We were just talking in that video there about how these buildings are so sturdy, man. Like, and when the walls are that sturdy and bullets aren't going through them, they're going somewhere. And in some way, shape, or form, they're ricocheting off that wall. So if you're in a room, there's bullets bouncing around. Like, yeah, of course, get the neck protector, the
Yeah,
groin protector, whatever you can, right?
yeah, 100%. We were training. There was a village outside of where we were stationed in the east, and we were training one time, and obviously train with live rounds, and we clear buildings just like they're doing here. And I fired up into an attic, and I hit something that was steel or something, but it ricocheted, and a part of the jacket came down and lodged itself into my belly. And I thought from that point on, I started using one of those like groin protectors that come down like near your crotch because I realized that could have been so bad. It was like my lower belly, and imagine if it was my neck or an artery or I don't know. But that's just one example. We were training, so that gave me a bit of a wake up call.
It's a lot, man. Always appreciate your insights walking through this stuff, Vegas.
Yes, thank you, Preston. Again, I am always grateful to. It feels like just yesterday I was watching your channel, and I'm like, man, it'd be cool to meet that guy. And now we're best friends that anybody could have, right?
Besties, yeah.
Thank you so much. Also, you guys, please check out the fundraiser if you're willing and able. I learned that from you. If you're willing and able, check it out. Link will be in the description. Help the snipers and Azov. And I think that's all I got. What are you thinking? We're good?
I like it. Perfect. Yeah. See y'all next
Cool.
time.
Cool. Thank you, brother. See you soon.